more enjoyable experiences for tourists through more meaningful connections with local people and a greater understanding of the local culture, social and environmental issues. Green tourism stands for small-scale tourism, which involves visiting natural areas while minimizing environmental impacts. In a nutshell, this type of tourism tries to both minimize and reverse the negative effects of travel. This includes overcrowding, the destruction of heritage, and the environmental globalization. While speaking to journalists, David Dooley, the country director, World Wide Fund, has therefore urged the government to implement policies that will strengthen green tourism, which has been abused for several years in Uganda.
First of all, it has to be premised on the fact that you are going to reduce consumption, you are going to reduce pollution, you are going to reduce usage of materials. For example, when I talk usage of material, how much of the greenhouse gas emission or carbon dioxide do you bring out by participating in tourism activities? When you are doing agriculture, which is supporting tourism activity, which is providing services to the hotel, how green, how smart is that agriculture in terms of water usage, soil conservation, and so on, and the use of pesticides? How do you really make sure that you are doing business clean? And then one thing that is also very important about this is that we are looking at sustainability. We are looking at something that can go on and on and on and on without being destroyed. So how do you manage consumptive use under tourism without depleting the resources of tourism? Those are the critical things that we need to think. And then what investment do you need to put in to ensure that this happens? Because it's not long going to be like business like as usual. You are going to change your transport systems. Other than using diesel vehicles, you probably need to have a hybrid vehicle. So there must be a policy that allows that to happen.
Tourism has demonstrated resilience in the face of the global economic downturn. Globally, the tourism industry generated more than $1 trillion in 2010, and that was according to the World Tourism Organization. Green tourism, characterized by responsible travel to natural areas that promotes conservation of the environment, therefore, is one of the fastest growing segments of tourism worldwide and is growing at a pace of more than 20% annually, 2 to 3 times faster than the tourism industry overall.
And I've been talking about green tourism and greening tourism. This is really consistent with well over thinking about reducing the global emission that has ravaged the globe in terms of the climate impacts, which we are seeing every day, impacting on our livelihoods, impacting on our infrastructure, impacting on a number of things, economic activities. So when we talk about greening tourism, we are really talking about moving into a path that brings into the benefits along the value chain from the common person who is a custodian of a protected area where the animals do exist, where the tourists come to visit, to that tourist who has traveled all the way from that long distance to come and see those facilities that you need. And what are the incentives that will make you to recycle water in your premise? And then the architectural design. How are you going to design your hotels and buildings to ensure that they are consistent with the environment? You are not going to put blocks and blocks in places. So how are you going to do that? And then finally, how is it going to benefit the environment? You must need to quantify that. That benefit must be real. And then the products that come from it, the short-term and medium-term and long-term returns from it must benefit everybody in the value chain, including the local person at the lowest level of the chain. This is very critical. It underpins what it takes to be green. I said green is not business as usual. So you need skillful handling and that needs capacity building. Now, capacity building in services. So those services must be certified. The guides which are taking you into the green tourism development path must be certified and provide for you that service, that professional certified service along the green line. This is a guide who will tell you don't throw plastic bottles there, or you will be able to collect the plastic bottle. These are the guides who will be able to have water bottles which are reusable and give to their clients. So these are the guides who will explain to you the complexity, interrelationship between what is showing you and nature for you to appreciate. So that is satisfying the service. So that's one aspect of guiding.
The benefits of green tourism following to local businesses are dramatically higher than those from the mass tourism. Standard all-inclusive package tours deliver just 20% of the revenue to local companies, while the rest is captured by airline, hotels and large tour companies. Ecotourism operations are based locally and can turn as much as 95% of the earnings into the local economy. Duli further urged to stakeholders to satisfy Ugandan tourist products for easy identification and marketing.
Management, but then certifying the products itself, the hard products, the articrafts, the handcrafts that we sell out there must not be just, coming from anywhere. They must be coming from sustainably managed areas, like the wood carvings and so on and so. So they must have a certificate that transit across border. If you cross one country to the other and you say, where is it coming from? They just look at it, say it's from Uganda, it's from a certified forest. Perfect, go. And you have paid $100+ on top of that, other than paying maybe $10 on something which is not certified, which is even going to be confiscated. So that would bring frustration, and that would reduce the quality. So your products must be certified. Very important.
Finally, it is the way to open our minds to the world and the realization that we are all different, but we are also the same. And doing it responsibly gives us an opportunity to learn through meaningful connections with local people and to get better understanding of the local culture as well as social and environmental issues. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24.
Now there is Mr. David Dooley, who is the country director of the World Fund, that is the Worldwide Fund, WWF. He actually says government should implement policies that are going to strengthen green tourism in Uganda. Green tourism provides more enjoyable experiences for tourists through more meaningful connections with local people and a great understanding of the local culture, social and environmental issues. Now, green tourism stands for small-scale tourism, in which involves the visiting of natural areas while minimizing environmental impact. In a nutshell, this type of tourism tries to both minimize and reverse the negative effects of travel. These include overcrowding, the destruction of heritage and the environment, plus globalization. Now, he actually came out and Mr. David Dooley made these remarks after Uganda joined other countries to commemorate World Tourism Day under the theme Tourism for Inclusive Growth. And definitely, because I would say this week should be noted as the Tourism Week, vis-a-vis access to information week, or the information week, when Ugandans have to actually have their right to access information. Moving on to the next one, the Uganda Revenue Authority has acquired 27 baggage and SAGO scanners to strengthen inspection of imports and exports. It is the URA has acquired 27 baggage and cargo scanners to strengthen inspection of imports as well as exports. John Aramusinguzi, the Commissioner General of URA, appreciated the first batch of the scanners with support from the government and NACTEC. Now, the government has invested over 100 billion Ugandan shillings to support customs work and in the end contribute to at least 30% of the revenue. More of this report.
The Uganda Revenue Authority has acquired 27 cargo scanners to strengthen inspection of imports, exports, and also address security controls at the different border points throughout the country. The new scanners are an addition to those stationed at Malaba, Busia, Mirama Hills, Elegu, Entebbe, and Mutukula one-stop border posts. Manufactured by Nukitech Company Limited, the scanners have advanced X-ray, non-intrusive technology that has been adopted world over in security and inspection. John Musinguzi, the Commissioner General of Uganda Revenue Authority, appreciated this first batch of scanners with support from the government and Nukitech. The government has also invested 100 billion to support custom work in the end contribute at least 30% of the revenue, saying that the country's economy is growing, and with this kind of technology, Uganda should be able to meet the tax to GDP ratio in the next 3 years. He also encouraged staff to equip themselves with skills and exercise high levels of integrity while operating the equipment. Abel Kagumide, the Commissioner Customs, promised an addition of 12 scanners by October, which will be stationed at all 39 border stations countrywide. With the scanners in place, there will be no excuse on revenue loss from untaxed goods.
Scanners that are manufactured by Nukitech Company Limited have actually have potentials, or have actually been included, have actually had X-rays and non-intrusive technology included onto them, and that has been adopted world over in security and inspection. These are the scanners that were actually acquired by URA. Now, the Commissioner General of URA appreciated this bunch of scanners, the first bunch that was actually brought in from the support from the government as well as Nukitech. Now, the government has invested over 100 billion to support customs work, and in the end contribute at least 30% of the revenue, saying that Uganda's economy is growing, and with this kind of technology, Uganda should be able to meet the tax to gross domestic product ratio in the next 3 years. He also encouraged staff to equip themselves with the skills and exercise high levels of integrity while operating the equipment. These are quite expensive equipment, and in this particular way, these equipments are going to be helping in the baggage and cargo to strengthen the inspection of imports and exports in the way that they will be used to scan the different products that are coming into the country, so that we don't get fake products. And of course, before we export any product as well, they would be scanned, go through scrutiny before they actually, to see that they are on the world standard before they're exported to the world. And the same applies to everyone out there who thinks you're going to beat this particular taxes on if you think you're going to be importing fake products. These are scanners that have actually been acquired by URA to see that they curb all those situations. Still with the local scene, the ex-presidential candidate Kabuleta Joseph has unveiled a new political movement to promote economic empowerment among Ugandans. While unveiling the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue NED in Kampala on Tuesday, Kabuleta said that the political movement is constituted of politicians who currently hold no office but have influence in their respective sub-regions and are able to start meaningful discussions that shall see Ugandans fight for their resources. More of this report.
Former presidential candidate Joseph Kabuleta has launched a new political movement aimed at promoting economic empowerment of Ugandans. Unveiling the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue NED in Kampala on Tuesday, Kabuleta said the political movement is constituted of politicians who currently hold no office but have influence in their respective sub-regions and are able to start meaningful discussions that shall see Ugandans fight for their resources. Kabuleta said on average, winners at parliamentary level get 30 to 35% of the overall votes, and the other 65 to 70% goes to losers. Therefore, that massive fraction of the electorate that voted for the would-be silver and bronze medalists feels disenfranchised. Therefore, there is a need to harness those wonderful ideas from the runners-up by offering them a platform to express themselves. He noted that as need, they will focus on holding conversations throughout Uganda that will change the political dynamics.
All right, now that is a new political party. One would say the colors look familiar with the National Unity Platform, but this one is actually more of economic empowerment, and it is the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue, which is actually featuring of politicians who are not active in the politics, but are very active in terms of the economic platforms in Uganda. So greatly, Kabuleta said on average, winners at parliamentary level get 30 to 35% of the overall votes, and the others 65 to 70% goes to the losers. Therefore, the massive fraction of the electorate that voted for would be silver and bronze medalists feel disfranchised, and therefore there is a need to harness those wonderful ideas from runners-up, offering them a platform to express themselves. He noted that as the National Economic Empowerment Dialogue on NEED will focus on holding conversations throughout Uganda that will change the political dynamics of the country and help boost the economy. News in regards to the busy stories, Busia Chief Administrative Officer has been summoned over misappropriated funds. The funds were part of Ugandan National Roads Authority's compensation paid to Masafu Sub-County for encroaching part of its land, that is Masafu Sub-County Playground, during the construction of Musita Lumino Maganji Busia Road. More of this report.
John Rex Achila, the Busia District Resident Commissioner, has summoned Joseph Balisanyuka, the Chief Administrative Officer, over misappropriation of 49 million Ugandan shillings. The funds were part of Uganda National Roads Authority UNRA's compensation paid to Masanafu Sub-County for encroaching part of its land, that is Masanafu Sub-County Playground, during the construction of Musita Lumino Majanji Busia Road. The money was meant for the construction of Masanafu Sub-County headquarter offices in Mumutumba Trading Center, so that the sub-county gets separated from the newly created Masanafu Town Council. RDC Achila has tasked the CAO, who is an accounting officer, to explain the evidence how the sub-county money was misused between his office and the office of the sub-county chief. They have also constituted a committee led by the District Internal Security Officer, the DISO, to investigate, and if the CAO fails to avail evidence, he will face the law and be charged accordingly. The RDC says that they want to reduce the corruption among district officials in the area and also reduce irritating issues of Masana.
RDC says that they want to reduce corruption among district officials, and so they are starting with the Chief Administrative Officer in the area, and also reducing irritating issues of Masafu Sub-County. Now the RDC Achila has tasked the Chief Administrative Officer, or the CAO, who is an accounting officer, to explain with evidence how the sub-county money was misused between his office and the office of the sub-county chief. The money was meant for the construction of Masafu Sub-County headquarters office in Mumutumba Trading Center, so that the sub-county gets separated from the newly created Masafu Town Council. Now you can definitely see that the Busia CAO is actually in very huge problems concerning the misappropriation of funds worth 49 million Ugandan shillings. Where were they sent to? Were they used for his own personal use? More and more of the story will actually be coming up. It is a developing one, as we'll definitely see what the High Court has to say in that regard. Now we're off to the international scene to check out what is making way in regard to the business. As we start off from South Africa, as the South African Airways and Kenya Airways have signed a cooperation agreement with a long-term view to create a Pan-African airline group. Now the companies have a long-term plan for a Pan-African airline group, which is seen as a measure to promote the aviation sector in Africa. More of this report. It is not a merger but a partnership that seeks to reorganize Kenyan Airways and South African Airways assets into an ecosystem that will make the South African and Kenyan aviation sector more competitive, Kenya Airways said in a statement. South African Airways said in a separate statement that the pact did not preclude either firm from pursuing commercial cooperation with other carriers, and said collaborating would help contain costs. State-owned South African Airways restarted domestic flights last week, and this week launches a scaled-down international service to 5 African capitals after its long-standing financial woes were excavated by the COVID-19 pandemic. It exited administration in April thanks to another state bailout. The government has said it will sell 51% stake in the airline to a local consortium. Kenya Airways passenger business has also been severely constrained by COVID-19, and it has focused on cargo to minimize losses. Kenya has plans to renationalize the airline, whose code-share agreement with Air France KLM for Africa-Europe routes ends this. Looking at this particular situation, the South African Airways said in a separate statement that the pact did not preclude either firm from pursuing commercial cooperation with other carriers, and said collaborating would help contain the costs. Meanwhile, the South African assets in an ecosystem that will make the South African and Kenyan aviation sector more competitive. That is according to Kenya Airways. This is going to make them more competitive and back to the center. Now, the state-owned South African Airways restarted domestic flights last week, and this week it is set to launch a scaled-down international service to 5 African capitals. And if you look at that, after its long-standing financial woes, were exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, if you look at these two airways, the two national carriers that are actually behind the Ethiopian Airways, some of these are one of the other, if you look at the Ethiopian Airways being one of the premium in regards to the best African carrier, you can never go away from the fact that Kenya Airways and South African Airways have actually also been playing a very huge part on the continent. But with the pandemic and the situations that have actually been prevailing across the world, most of these carriers have actually had a very big challenge in maintaining or staying active in the business. That is why they decided to come up in a cooperation to see that maybe in a long term they would create a pan-African airline group that would promote the aviation sector in Africa and the world as well. And in this particular initiative, it exited administration. If you look at the South African Airways, it exited administration in April thanks to another state bailout, and the government has said it will sell a 51% stake in the airline to a local consortium. Now, Kenya Airways passenger business has also been severely constrained by COVID-19, and it has focused on cargo to minimize the losses. We did have another story that was actually referring to the Kenya Airways, where the Kenya Airways decided to first leave its employees or the staff on a pay cut. Reason being, they're not making enough profits, or they're not making the profits that can actually facilitate the staff members. So, and the claims are that once the business is actually resumed, once the flight business is back to normal, to pre-pandemic levels, they will definitely go back to, or they will actually receive their pay rise and go back to the amount or the salary that they used to receive. Now, Kenya has also plans to renationalize the airlines, whose code share agreement with Air France, that is KLM, for Africa-Europe routes ends this particular month of September. The month of September is just inches away from closure, or a few hours as we step into October. So we definitely see that this cooperation comes out to help both Kenya and the South African Airways. All right, now that brings us to the end of our news hour at this particular moment. I'm Joram Paul Sonko. After the break, I return with topical analysis with more of the business stories. This is SMB.